Welcome everyone to the Fireside Football Chat episode 5. He's Jay, I'm Chip, and we're back again talking football, making picks. His picks are way better than mine, but who cares? It happens. We're having fun, and I saw some goofy stuff this week in the college aspect of it. Jay, any chance you paid attention to that Kentucky game?
I had my eye on it. I did. For sure, I did.
It's one of those things where, and we've talked about this many times. The big word in sports today starts with an A, ends with an S. Analytics. We've talked about now. Numbers are great, but you can't coach with numbers and numbers only. You just can't do it. You have to have that gut, that feeling, that funky feeling, Jay. You know what I mean? So, but the Kentucky's coach said the analytics said 4th and 7, you got to punt. He said, nope. And what was the result, Jay?
Oh, boy.
63 yards of pure loving on 4th and 7.
Hasta la pasta, my
And then
friend.
we had a little upset.
Hi,
Ole Miss has got a good team.
Oh yeah,
But I was glad it was great to see a coach come out and say, analytics said, but we didn't do that. Because
and if you remember, Chip, they were right there with Georgia.
Yes.
And he turtled up and punted that football because he thought, well, you know what? My defense hopefully can hold him. And that ended up costing them game. And when they asked him again, he said, I learned my lesson.
That's right. And that was a great catch there to propel them essentially to the win.
Yep.
And, I took it on the chin, Jay. It was a rough week. And if you would have told me over the years when we were talking about starting this podcast that not necessarily but me, I mean, I'm on 50% picking games. I've talked about that. Not drastic, but enough to be on the right side of the ball. If you would have told me I would have started off like this doing a podcast, I'd probably be a little bit embarrassed. But I will say this, Jay. If you're out there listening to what I'm telling you to do, even though I do my research and I think we're on the right side of the ball, you better call 1-800-GAMBLER because you have a problem.
Uh-oh.
But,
Uh-oh.
Jay, there's a trend, and we're going to talk about that trend later. But there's a trend coming, and we have a little special surprise too. So, but I'll tell you what. Did you see anything a little crazy? Because before I give you my picks, because you might think I'm crazy again, Jay. But tell me what you saw.
Chip, I did see some craziness. If we go back to last week, right? And I referenced my picks, and I referenced my picks not because I was 4-0, right? Because
what were you, Jay?
I happened to be 4-0 last week. Okay, but
yes,
but I've also had some bad weeks, as you followers who've been watching every week. I've also had some bad weeks.
For the cycle's good though, Jay.
It is, right? And I hope that you out there were able to take advantage of that. Maybe put a little extra something in the wallet. But I'm not here to boast, Chip. I'm not interested in that because, again, I had my weeks where it wasn't good either. But I'm going to reference some of the picks, kind of to really, because I want you all out there to understand that, and I know most of you probably know this, but the margins sometimes are so close, okay? And when I look at the games from last week, I look at, for instance, the Titans -1.5 against the Dolphins, right?
The 2 cockroach game, Jay.
The 2 cockroach games.
I have it too. I did have it. It wasn't part of my picks, but he called it. He was right.
And although the spread of the game ended up being pretty wide, if we go back to my logic and my reasoning, I had some statistics that I threw in there because you guys know I normally do. However, if you reference back or you go back and watch the video from last week, you'll notice that my number one reason was not
That's right.
anything to do with the statistics in the game. It had to do with one statistic. Do you remember what that statistic was that I threw out there?
I know that what you did reference was that Miami can't get out of the driveway.
That's right.
I remember that because I was thinking about that during the game. I'm like, they can't get out of the driveway. Jay was right.
they couldn't get out of the driveway. And funny enough, they couldn't, right? They had a hard time for sure. Their offense is just sputtering. But my number one reason was simply because at that point in time, the Titans were winless.
Yep.
And I said, you know what? They're going to get their first win. The spread was so close at -1.5. I figured they get the win, they're going to cover. And that was it.
Yep.
Right? That was it. Now, I have statistical evidence on or backing on some other games. For that game, no. And unfortunately, got the W. But when I look at some of the other games, I'm just combing through from last week. The only game that was a put the head on the pillow at halftime, right? Lock it up, no problem. You knew you had won that bet, was the Kansas State -5.5. The other games, Chip, they were close.
They're going to be. It's not easy. You know that. If you get one that it's a sleeper where you can set it and forget it and go to take a nap, you're lucky to get one.
That's right.
And you did it.
And that's more or less what happened here, guys. So, yep, thrilled to be 4-0. We know that can't happen every week, but anytime it does, it's a beautiful thing.
Absolutely.
However, to go back to what Chip had mentioned there is just that one, and only really one of those games was a game where I could put the head on the pillow at halftime. Rutgers -2.5 against Washington. Rutgers wins by a field goal. They win by 3 points. Okay. The Illinois game, Penn State, and again, you all know I love Penn State. Told you they were going to win. I kept saying, there's no denying they're going to win. However, I just felt that it could be a backdoor cover or a close game in the fourth quarter. It turned out to be, a close game going to the fourth quarter. But that could have gone either way.
Yeah, absolutely.
It really could have, Chip.
Absolutely.
If they didn't either, the crowd's going crazy at the start of that game. Win the toss, defer. Just what you want, right? You're going to come out on D. And Illinois drives right down the field and scores.
Oops.
Now, I think from that point on, it was something like they only gave up actually, it might not have been from that point. It might have been the second half. They only gave up 39 or 59 yards, something like that, rushing yards. But anyhow, it turns out that could have gone either way. If Penn State doesn't have some of the silly penalties that they had in that game, I'm on the wrong side of that bet. So
take the W, Jay.
So I take the W. I'm thrilled. But you all know that, that there's times where even in a 4-0 week, you might have one. At most, you're going to have two of them that are easy. And the others,
absolutely. But I didn't tell you this, Jay, but I have a friend of mine who's one of our subscribers. Thank you. You know who you are. Went to Penn State. He texted me, and he respected that pick because he's a Penn State alum. And the fact that you could not go against him, you don't want him to lose, just to cover the spread.
Yes, and I always reference. I try to reference that I do the best that I can.
Oh, absolutely.
Bet with my head, not with my heart. So with that said, Chip, do you have any picks that you'd like to throw out there, or anything to add before you throw your picks out there?
Oh, I'm chomping to make you think I'm crazy again.
Maybe college pick.
I don't know. I just I can't call it. Like, going back real quick though, 2 games that I had, one college, one pro. You think you're on the right side of the ball, and you're down 28-0.
There we go.
You open up, and then
next thing you know, you're down 28-0, folks.
28-0. Huh? Why? What did I miss here? But if there's any saving grace to it, they did come back both games and made a game out of it, and you knew that what if, but you can't do that. But down 28-0, that's a big stair to climb. Let me tell you. So with that being said, Jay,
what do you got?
You have another number 9 team and a number 25 team. Everybody wants to get in the top 25, but when you get in the top 25, even though you're playing at home, does that mean you give the number 9 team points?
Usually unheard of.
Exactly. Number 9 is Missouri.
Mizzou, eh?
Yeah. Number 25 is Texas A&M. Now, we joke around.
Yeah.
Like I said, I took on the chin the last 2 weeks. I look at games that jump out, Jay, and then I start back the research into it and see what's going on. everything that I looked at says take Missouri. Everything from, last so many games at home, on the road for Missouri. Any stat you can think of says you got to jump all over Mizzou.
Gotta have it.
But guess what? I'm not going to do it, Jay. Texas A&M was giving them points at home. It just doesn't make sense. The stats don't make sense and the trends and everything. So I'm taking Texas A&M -1.5. But you know what? That's my MO, and it's going to work eventually. I think so, because it's the way I've always been doing it.
You know what? And that's the key here, Chip, that whatever it is, the strategy that you're taking is to try and be consistent. We know it's worked in the past for you. We know that. I know that. Okay? I know that. And I think the problem was when you start to teeter.
Yeah.
You go, okay, well, now I'm going to try this. Well, now I'm going to try that. Point there is, first of all, I believe you're on the right side. Okay.
I usually think I am.
But I know most of the time I'm, kind of there with the cheerleader, and I love that pick. And honestly, most of the time I do. And there are times when not so much. Folks, I'm telling you that approach would have been the same approach that I would have taken this week. I look at that line and I'm like, no freaking way. You are not setting the hook in my mouth and making me take Mizzou there. No
That
way.
makes me pull out the line. Are you kidding me, Jay? Are you kidding me? Can I sneak one more in for you?
Yourself.
Pay attention to it. You know I like to pay attention.
On a platter. Help yourself.
Exactly. And I'm not going to throw anything out too much about it, but Clemson's going into Florida State. Again, Florida State's not good. I picked them. I was lucky a couple weeks ago based on that same logic. But Clemson's is I think their trajectory's going up, and they're starting to get in stride a little bit. The only thing that scares me is 14.5. That hook every time I hook, it shouldn't come into play. It just shouldn't. Keep an eye on Clemson -14.5. Remember, I'm not taking it. Just keep an eye on it to see if I can get my mojo back, my trends going. So, Jay, with that being said, tell me who you got.
Well, Chip, I will be keeping an eye on that game as I have a lens on all of college football. But that one, believe you me, I'll have my eye on it. You make a good point. I'm going to turn my attention right now to Wisconsin. Okay, -13.5 at home against a putrid, I mean bad Purdue football team. You know what? I'm going to throw the label on them that I happened to throw on the Panthers a few weeks ago. Eventually it came back.
Yeah.
Right? But when I initially said it, it was right. Purdue, they stink. They stink, and they're going to continue to stink. Okay? I've seen enough of this team. So, well, Jay, how do you know they stink? Well, I'll throw this one at you. We'll start with this statistic. They're giving up 6.5 yards per carry. Chip, any idea what that would be in the national ranking? 6.5 yards per
Giving
carry.
up that much?
Giving up 6.5 yards per carry.
I would think you're down at the bottom of the barrel.
You're way down there, okay? How about 129th in the nation?
Wow.
Stink.
Wow.
Did I mention they stink? They stink.
Wow.
Okay. Wisconsin, by the way, they're averaging 4 yards per carry, which, it's not remarkable. It's not. But it's still good for 77th in the nation. All right. Not anything to sneeze at there. It's certainly not 129th. Okay. So, decent. Here's a statistic for you.
Go ahead.
Purdue has an average scoring margin of -31.4 yards per game, points per game. They're giving up, on average, losing by 31.4 points per game. And you're probably wondering, Jay, that's pretty bad, isn't it?
I don't know how that math would work out, Jay.
How about bad to the tune of 4th worst in the nation?
Wow.
4th worst in the nation, right?
Wow.
That's right. Only 3 slots above the put the mirror underneath their mouths and check to see if they're alive. Golden flashes of Kent State. Okay. Any of you who are Penn State fans out there and watch the Kent State game knows how atrocious Kent State is. And Purdue's only 3 ticks above them.
That is
right.
crazy.
Stink.
Wow.
I got to tell you, Wisconsin, pretty tough at home. At Camp Randall, they are a tough team to play. To me, I don't know. I see the margin for this game in the 20s minimum.
Okay.
Minimum. So take Wisconsin minus 13.5. That would be my suggestion here. Take your winnings. I know you've probably been looking forward to getting those Jersey boy tickets. All right. Help yourself to the tickets you always wanted. This one's going to be quite a theatrical experience for the Badgers. Okay. Help yourself, folks. Enjoy the fruits of your wagers.
There you go.
Next up, Washington minus 2.5 at home against Michigan. Washington. Now, you know I picked against them last week. I picked Rutgers. I already mentioned how it was a close game. Already mentioned that they played Rutgers tough. And Rutgers is a tough football team. Well, I'm taking Washington minus the 2.5 at home against Michigan. Washington has a stout D, giving up a measly 2.1 yards per carry at home, good for 10th in the nation. Offensively, they're ranked 13th in the nation with 5.4 yards per rush, and their yards per pass attempts puts them in the top 10. Michigan has a putrid passing offense, and the only reason they're ranked fourth worst instead of dead last is because they had a quarterback play the first two games who wasn't named Alex Orji.
Okay.
Okay.
There you go.
With Alex Orji at the helm, okay, the last two games as the trigger man, Michigan, they're averaging 59 yards passing per game.
No way.
Per game, Chip, not by quarter, not per quarter.
Way.
Per game.
Jay, can we pin that number? I want to reference that later on.
You know what? Let's do it.
Yeah.
Pin it up on the mantle right
exactly.
there.
I want to reference that later on.
We got it stubbed up there right
Okay.
now, my friends. So a couple finishing points here. Washington at home at Husky Stadium, massive advantage. I've referenced the magic of Provo with BYU.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, there is magic out there in Husky land. It's just a tough place to play. It's loud. It's on the water.
It's a little misty.
Oh, and the fans are raucous.
Okay.
Tough place to play. And quite honestly, you know, last week with that Rutgers game being as close as it was, my sense is that, you know, they're kind of feeling, Washington's kind of feeling like their Cheerios had been pissed in.
Wow.
And they are irate. Okay, they're ready to mutilate the Wolverines. Now, the Wolverines, by the way, I'm not sure if any of you got to watch the Wolverines last week against Minnesota. I'm beginning to wonder whether or not with this whole NIL era, if maybe some of that scratch goes towards the referees.
Whoa, that's a bold statement, Jay.
Well, let me elaborate.
No, go ahead. I'm sure you have something to back it up.
Well, here's what happened, right? So Michigan's playing, I believe, at home, right? And I think they're giving up 9.5 or 10 points, depending on the service, maybe even 10.5 to Minnesota. So clear favorites, right? Well, Minnesota gets the game to within 3. Executes what I believe to be a perfect onside kick, recovers the ball around the 35 to 40 yard line at worst of Michigan with time left on the clock.
No way.
Yep. Chip, the referee had his hand on the flag ready to pull the thing before the guy even kicked the football.
He did not.
Offsides. And I'm telling you,
wow,
it was really close. 99 out of 100 times that does not get called because it's hard enough to execute an onside kick. Well, he's got his hand on the freaking flag. He was ready to throw it before the kick went off.
Wow.
Highway robbery.
Wow.
Okay. So listen, Michigan's got problems, man. And I have to give them credit. They had a nice win against USC at home, but they've got problems. When you only throw the football for 59 yards per game, teams aren't just going to load up on the box. Okay. They are going to put significant men up in that box because this guy, Alex Orji, is no threat at all. None. They have no fear of this guy passing on them. So with that being said, Chip, my take, Washington, -2.5. Let her be free where she be, my friend. Make it happen.
Sounds good to me, Jay.
Yeah.
That's very compelling.
Yeah, you
Even bringing the refs into it.
You have to.
With his hand on the trigger.
Hand on the he's got his hand on the flag before he even kicks
That's
it.
crazy.
Just dead bad. Okay. So my thought is that they're going to be in a position where I think Washington's going to get up early, 14-0, and they're going to be forced to throw the football. I see the potential for 2 picks.
Wow.
I see 2 interceptions this game, and it becomes easy work.
Okay.
Next game, Indiana, -13.5 at Northwestern. I needed to see what Indiana was. Indiana was. They played Maryland last week. It was close for a while, and they ended up thumping them.
Really?
Yeah, Chip,
Maryland's not that good, are they?
It's not that they're that good, but I didn't think they would win by that margin.
Okay.
I really didn't. I needed Indiana to prove to me that they could play with a Big Ten team.
Sure.
Well, they more than proved it to me. Chip, Indiana's for real. I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, Indiana's going to win the Big Ten. I'm not going there. But this is more than just a competitive football team. Okay, they proved something to me. This coach, this Kurt Cignetti, he's the real deal, man. The guy is the real deal. And by the way, Northwestern, I think Northwestern might be playing in like it's like some high school stadium. It looks like. I mean,
really?
it looks like it. I don't know. They packed the place with 3,000 fans. No,
that's not a lot.
Nope, they don't actually.
That's not a lot.
Okay.
Oh, they don't?
No, if there's 3,000 people that can be seated there might be 1,500 that make it to the game.
Wow.
It's atrocious. It really is. So anyhow, there's 0 home field advantage here. Right? You're going to Northwestern. No. There's no home field advantage at Northwestern. It's sleepy time there. All right. So my feeling is that Indiana, they proved it to me. They simply proved to me this new coach is the real deal. This is a team that can play with multiple teams in the Big Ten. They are going to wipe the floor with Northwestern. Northwestern, no, I'm going to do it. They stink too.
Okay.
Yeah, Northwestern stinks. Okay, they do. This is going to be a non-issue. They go in. This is going to be, my thought, at least 20-plus points. They're going to win this game by. So, folks, get in there.
Sounds solid.
Yeah, take Indiana -13.5 at Northwestern. Don't look back. Okay, enjoy yourselves with your winnings with that. That is, I'm not going to go lock, but feel good about it. Feel good about that game. And now for the NFL picks.
Uh-oh, here we go, Jay. Who you like?
Well, this week I happen to like Washington. Washington -3 at home against the Browns. Chip, I'm not sure if you were watching. I would guess you were.
Time out, Jay. You know they hurt me last week.
Oh, I know they did.
And I'm talking, I was going to say this in a little bit, and I don't want to interrupt you, but
well, you did.
My buddy called me up and said, you know what the pick of the week was last week? And I said, before or after? Anybody can pick a game after. He said, and he started reciting my beating the Bengals, coming back, flying to the West Coast, blah, blah, blah. He goes, that's old school. That's where I went. And guess what? Mm-hmm. You're jumping on the wagon because of that. I could see it. Go ahead, Jay. I'm sorry for interrupting you, but I just had that's what bothered me. And you're coming back with him.
No worries, Chip. Right? I always appreciate your insight, partner. Anyhow, we get back to that. Listen, Jayden Daniels. I am going to, but I really don't need to say a whole lot more. This kid is impressive. Okay, yes, first of all, with barring injury, he coasts to Rookie of the Year. absolutely coast. And I know we're only a few games in here, right? And some people might be saying, "Hey Jay, you're getting a little ahead of yourself, buddy." And that fair. But listen, I've watched enough football to know talent. This kid has talent. My concern when he came in, my concern was he was just going to be the next guy that runs around, right? That runs down the field, that he's got speed, and so there's a threat. And maybe there's one or two games where he starts running around and he breaks off, and we're looking at the stat line and going, "Damn, this guy ran for 100 yards and threw for 200. What a great game!" And then 2 games later, they're scraping him up off the turf.
RG3 2.0.
Yahtzee. That's not this guy. This guy can drive the football down the field. I mean, really, he can make the throws. And listen, let's face it, like Terry McLaurin, right? Noah Brown, dare I say Zach Ertz? Okay? And then, you look at it and you're like, well, he can turn around, he can hand the ball off to Robinson. Like, this guy's got some players. They have
Yes, he
talent.
does.
That offense has talent. I'm not ready to go there with their defense yet, but I do think, and we've seen it happen, they can outscore teams. Well, this week, folks, okay, they're not going to need to outscore the Browns by a whole lot because the Browns' offense is putrid. I mean, I thought at the beginning of the year, I'm reading the publications, right? I'm seeing how great the Browns are going to be. Their offensive line is this. And I know that, they had Nick Chubb out, but even with Chubb out, they felt like they were going to have that type of a quality offense, right? I mean, you got a decent receiver, right? Mari Cooper.
Oh, yeah.
You got a quarterback that they were hoping this was going to be the year. I got to tell you,
Surprising.
that offense is struggling, which is why I say Washington can score. They can score with, who the teams they face. They've been able to score with them. I don't think it's going to matter. And the Browns do have a good defense. There's no denying that.
They do.
But I think with that trigger man, they're still going to score. I have no doubt about it. Folks, hammer Washington, -3. And once again, enjoy the fruits of your wager.
Jay, I hate to admit it, but I like that pick because what we have to worry about
Well, you're
is
you're a division guy.
Washington's in the same division.
Division
Eagles,
guys.
Cowboys,
Yep.
it could be
Cowpokes.
could be
Birds.
scary. I
Yeah.
prefer you not use the cowpokes.
Oh, the cowpokes,
that
I'm
kind of
sorry.
term. I'm sorry.
Okay, well, we won't let it ruin our
But anyway,
back and forth banter.
But it's one of those things where hopefully he might hurt us
He may.
more than he's going to help you this game, but he might have hurt us down the road.
Yep. So there is my NFL pick. Chip, I'll swing it over to you.
Are you ready?
I am.
I got to throw a couple things at you that I didn't bring up yet.
Well, I'm on the edge of my seat,
The
man.
first 3 weeks, the biggest underdog have not just covered, but won outright.
Oh.
First time in 70 years. 70 years, Jay.
7-0.
Yeah.
Tell that to our friends at home.
I didn't even know you could bet 70 years ago, to be honest with you.
Well, they were doing it.
And guy with the rice papers writing everything down at the corner store. I'm like,
That's right.
come on.
Right. 70 years. Goodness.
And the NFL underdogs of at least 5.5 are 14-2 with 10 outright wins. Scoring's down. Passing touchdowns are down. So that's why I don't feel too bad picking these awful picks. Because we want to switch something up. Like I said earlier, there could be a trend.
It has been a bit of an anomaly.
And I got to hats off to Goff, 18 for 18, and didn't even get the game ball.
I know.
So before I make my picks, and we're going to introduce something into this mix. Pull that pin off, Jay. 59 yards passing average, you said.
That is correct. I got Mr. 59 right here.
But let me ask you this question. In the NFL, traditionally, NFL, do you think it's possible to win a game with 60 yards passing? No. To one guy. One guy got the 60 yards. They win a game. Only like 123, 126 yards rushing, but 60 yards.
60.
Score was 10-9, but that's your man Bo Nix.
10-9.
Denver, Tampa, stay at the Greenbrier or whatever, and then goes right into New York and 10-9 in one of the ugliest games weather-wise. Aaron Rodgers was not on the right cadence with his team. It was just atrocious. I just thought
hard to watch.
I just thought 60 yards, but you said 59. It made me spark something. So
very, very close.
Here we go, Jay. Here we go. I'm going to stay with the way I do it. I'm not wavering. I keep saying
not to waver. Yeah, don't waver. You have a system.
There's no opposite.
Stick with it. Your system's guy. Let's stick with it.
Thank you. So, without a lot of different, say, stats and everything, I'm going to give you my picks because like I said, we have to add something in here. We're going to do things a little different.
A little surprise.
So, Slinging Sam Darnold did it to me again. He did it to me again. Now listen, if he does this again to me, because I'm picking the Jets this week, plus 2.5 in London, there's no way Minnesota's that good. And
don't do it.
And they're only giving the Jets 2.5 points after the Jets, like I just said, lost 10-9.
God.
But I will say this. I don't have a Sam Darnold jersey. I'm not going to buy one. But if he gets me again, I would wear one for the rest of this Fireside podcast.
Chip, you promised me you would not be Charlie Brown.
I can't.
You promised me.
The Jets are only getting 2.5.
Oh, God bless you.
He's lighting up.
God bless you. You know I'm pulling for you.
They are in London.
You know I'm pulling for you. But sweet Jesus, don't get Charlie
Here's
Brown
another
again.
one. You know everybody's hopping on Baltimore. I know that for a fact. So, Cincinnati. Plus 2.5. Don't look like they can cover, but it's only 2.5. They have a horrible defense.
Something fishy about that one?
I think so. That's why I picked it.
Okay. Something fishy about that.
And then, you know everybody. Because of Bo Nix going back, thinking that he can't do it, everybody's jumping on the Raiders.
Raider football.
So, I hate to say it, but in Bo Nix we trust. Denver -3 back at home against the Raiders.
Oh, boy.
So,
Big Al.
I refuse.
I'm loving that one.
I refuse to do the opposite. But I'm going to bring some nostalgia out. We're going to
look
at the old 8 ball. We got the 8 ball.
He brought out the 8 ball.
So,
you savage.
Instead of me doing the opposite, we're going to ask it about those 3 picks. And see what happens. So I'm shaking it around.
Here we go.
Will the Jets cover plus 2.5 in London against Singing Slammy Darnold? Will they do it? What's it say, Jay?
What do we got? What do we got?
As I see it, yes! There it is! Yeah! It's going with me, Jay!
How could you not? It's great karma. Keep it moving, brother.
Going with me. The Magic 8 ball. I love the Magic 8 ball.
Yeah. Fits the hand nicely, doesn't it?
The Cincy plus 2.5 against Baltimore. What does the 8 ball say, Jay?
We got.
It's on the edge.
I'm on the edge.
We stuck. Right, here we go. Uh-oh. Yes, definitely, Jay. Yes, definitely. It's a green. 2 for 2.
It says yes, definitely. He's not lying, folks.
This is unbelievable. It can't even do the George Costanza.
Shaking that up with the left.
I'm trying.
Shaking that up. Yep.
Now we
good
got
exercise, right?
Bo Nix -3, yeah. For the short shorts. What do we got?
There it is.
-3. Uh-oh, it said concentrate and ask again.
All right, we'll do.
Okay, we'll give it another shot.
Give it another whirl.
We'll give it another shot.
You need the bifocals?
No, it's blue. The juice is blue on the inside.
Juice blue.
The juice is blue.
Juicy blue over here.
Denver and Bo Nix -3 against the Raiders says outlook good.
Yeah, we'll take it.
So either I'm right and the 8 ball's right, or we're both wrong. I don't know. But real quick, the games with the underdogs we're talking about, I'm going to go back. Kansas City, New Orleans. New Orleans +8. Arizona +9.5.
Oh.
Carolina +5.5. They're the dogs we talking about over 5.5. Who knows what's going to go? But guess what? Now it's time for our man, Mr. Monday Night is back in action with his pick. I can't wait.
Let's
I
go.
just can't wait to hear this. So, here we go.
This is Mr. Monday Night. I hope you bet the ranch on those Lions Monday night. Like I told you, I'll make sure you guys offset Biden inflation. I don't get political, I just do picks. This week, the Chiefs are laying 5.5 points at home against the Saints. Really not crazy about this game at all, but this is why they pay me the big bucks. I still make my picks. I think this will be a surprising defensive game, and the Saints will find a way to shut down the Chiefs' Kareem Hunt and that running game, and that'll force Mahomes to win it shorthanded. I say take the Saints plus the 5.5 with Derek Carr having a bounce-back game. There it is, your lead pipe cinch. These top picks are brought to you by Cinch Propane. Extend your patio life with propane delivered to your home. Like Mr. Monday Night, it's a cinch.
Well, Jay, we did it again. Well, not everybody knows we had a couple little technical snafu difficulties, but guess what? What do good players do?
Good players adjust, my friends, and adjusting we do.
You got it. There we go. Thanks for coming.